Why don't we call the meeting to order and stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have an appointment with renters and water shut off scheduled.
I don't know why Rod's here.
Seeing there's no one out there, so not seeing anyone, let's move right along. Amendments to the agenda.
I have no amendments today.
No amendments to the agenda?
Nothing? I have nothing.
Okay. How about approval of the minutes from July 26th?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Second? Any discussion?
Okay, I didn't hear.
We have Jay made the motion, Chad
I
did this.
I can't hear nodding.
So Chad seconded?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Thank you.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we just accepted the minutes. 5 minutes for public comment. Rod, you got anything you want to share with us? No public comments. Department head reports.
Came up fast. All right, department head report. We'll start with DPW today. Highway completed roadside mowing last week. They're able to get started on the crosswalk painting. Over the next few weeks, Fourth and Furnace those two roads are the priority. They need to get some of those structures rebuilt on 4th Street and make sure Furnace is ready make sure both roads are ready for paving. Final paving for those roads as well as Scotch Hill is tentatively scheduled for the week of August 22nd. So that is before school starts. Knock on wood, the weather holds. Water department, we hit 60% engineering for the water line replacement project on Main Street. V-Trans did push their paving out to 2025. So that gives us a little bit of breathing room to get that project planned out and then financed if the board so desires. Sewer, we're still doing the punch list stuff for the wastewater treatment facility and the garage where they keep their chem feed room. That's being worked on right now. Police. We had two compliments for Mr. Kerber today. Two defendants, they went to court to contest the ticket. It looked like they hung out afterwards and just let folks know that Dale was just doing his job and they appreciated how courteous he was to them. So here are people that got a ticket, but then still said he was just being a friendly, nice guy. Sergeant Kerber also found a juvenile on the bridge over on Main Street. When he engaged the young person, it turned out this person was feeling a little suicidal. Mr. Kerber managed to talk that young lady back. So another thank you to Mr. Kerber. National Night Out had a really great turnout. The Revived Church did donate a helicopter. I didn't know they had a helicopter, but I don't know what that means. But they had a helicopter.
Whose helicopter was it?
Revived Church.
That comes out of Glens Falls.
Does it?
Same one that dropped the candy up here to
Yeah.
the school.
They must rent it. I don't know. Food was donated by Shaw's and Stewart's, and the DJ, they had a DJ. That was Sherry McDermott, who is also on our police force. In terms of police work, they had 2 arrests over the last 2 weeks, 56 for the year, 61 traffic violations. They did 18 sets of fingerprints at $25 a pop. That's $450 in revenue. So that's working out well. And we got that fingerprint machine, which is like a scanner, it's not always ink anymore. From my office,
Before we move on for your town manager thing, any questions on DPW or police from the board?
I voiced my opinion earlier today.
we talked
Okay,
about-
moving on to town man,
Oh, wait, one more. It is 4:30 when they're getting done.
I promised I would check and I will. I dropped the ball on that, Jake. So the question was if it's a 10-hour day, are they leaving, working 10 hours and then the half-hour lunch, so 10 and a half hours. I have to check on that. So, and I didn't, and I
They're
apologize.
to take their half-hour lunch.
Yeah, they have to take their half-hour lunch and then work 10 hours.
That makes it 4:30 when you leave.
Okay.
And if they haven't been, they owe us time.
We talked.
I had an item. I wanted to thank the officers involved with handling the mental health crisis on the bridge. I work in a field that certainly sees its fair share of struggling individuals, so I just wanted to publicly express thanks to our police department.
Good, thank you. Anything else? Town manager report and communication.
Stole my thunder for my first two items. For the trailer park, we're still in touch with the state attorney general and the nonprofits that are working there. The state did reach out and they're pushing to get that a little bit more, like $520 left on the trailer park water balance. But they're working to get that. I did get an email today. Jay and I met with all these folks last week. The state's trying to get an engineering study together to replace the entire water system in the park, but it's a substantial amount of money for the engineering and installation. She was guessing up over $150,000. So they're not sure what they're going to do at this point. Water lines. To that point though, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of movement down at the trailer park other than, hey, we got the water on. So I did start the tax sale. I started doing that research this week. I don't think anything's gonna move until we move on it, so it's long overdue, so I've started that. Which, Rod, I think I was gonna do that last December, so.
The only thing with the tax sale, I don't think the town should be putting in any bid or pick it up afterwards if nobody bids on it. We don't need the headache, we don't need the aggravation.
Budget process, we started that yesterday. That came up fast, so the board, we're gonna do our internal work. I started it in my office, passed it off to the front office. The Board of Selectmen will have their first look at the proposed budget in October. And we're still, so the audit is still scheduled for the 22nd and 23rd of this month, not next week, the week after. So we're still on track with that, 22nd and 23rd, so, yeah, moving forward. And that's what I got for you today.
Questions for Joe? Hearing none, we're gonna move into old business, salt shed. One of my favorite topics.
This one's getting old, isn't it? I got a couple of leads. I did reach out to a couple of towns who built their sheds recently, although recently meant 3 years ago for both towns, it looks like. Their cost estimates are wildly out of date now, but they did, Proctor, I believe, sent over some schematics and drawings for their shed. They used blocks like we intended to, but then used a truss system instead of a turf system. So we'll dig back into that. I did reach out to a contractor here in Fairhaven last week, no response. Somebody somebody recommended we call
Amish.
the Amish. Yeah, which I thought that was a great idea. I don't know how popular it would be, but they may be able to help us out. So I didn't call the Amish yet, but that's next time.
I don't think you're gonna call them.
No,
You gotta go.
I'm a horse and buggy over to
Gonna
the.
require-
I think you better get on horseback and ride over to see them.
But yeah, that's where we're at with that. I did find some towns that offered a little bit of advice, but it's outdated again at this point. So I'm still working on it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Joe around the salt shed?
So you did say they sent you some schematics from Proctor?
I'd like to get you a copy.
I'd like to look at them. And Amish, that may not be a bad idea. I mean, they're real workers and, you know, we may have to assist them in putting the trusses up or something, but
I think
I don't know.
with that, it'd be a wooden building, but still, if we poured a foundation, or, you know, some sidewalls that are at least 4 feet up of the ground, so when the salt comes down, it's not gonna be against the wood.
Well, I think we should still entertain the idea of blocks up
Oh, block there, anything.
8 or 10 foot high and then truss from there up.
Yep.
But if we could get these plans and look at them, maybe put something together.
I mean, my preference in a perfect world, we get a local contractor to do maybe the blocks and get the ground ready and everything. And then if we can get the Amish, or if they get the best deal for getting the trusses.
Or a
It could be
contractor.
it could be a combination too, it doesn't necessarily always, if you're thinking what's gonna get you there, the best price might be a combination, it's done in 2 pieces versus one. If nothing else on salt shed, some more to come.
More to come.
New business, we have a liquor license.
For,
Fall Mountain Wines LLC.
where is that located?
These folks are up here on Scotch Hill.
Is that Joel Army?
It is Joe Rivers. Joe and his wife.
I was wondering if he was gonna do that this year.
I'll make a motion that we approve both first and third class license for Fall Mountain Wines, doing business as Fall Mountain Vineyard.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second it.
A motion by Jay, a second from Rich to approve the liquor license, first and third class liquor license. Any discussion, comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We just approved that.
Is that a vineyard or is that just
They make the wine and they're also having the building instruction for tastings.
Next on the agenda is a special event permit approval.
This should be for the chair, but as you're filling in.
Okay. Do you need a motion or anything
I do.
for, okay, let's,
Special permit for
Special event permit,
Distillers,
for
the
wine,
wine and
cheese.
cheese tasting.
for our Fairhaven Friday night wine and cheese tasting, August 19th.
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit.
I second it.
Okay. Motion was made by Jay, seconded by Rich. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Why would we be voting on it if it already been approved?
It had to go through the town clerk first. And that's for wine to sign.
Okay. Next item under new business, the planning grant application and grant match for housing.
Well, if nothing else, that can be controversial, I guess. So housing is a big thing in Vermont right now. There's a ton of money out there for it to both help us plan for it and help us build housing. Fairhaven, if I hear one thing is that we need to reduce our taxes and we need to increase our revenues. If we believe ourselves to be a bedroom community, which I think we are for a lot of the larger communities around us, we need to have more bedrooms to increase that revenue. It just means building more homes. So with this request, there's a community block grant for $60,000. It's a 10% match. I'm requesting $3,000 in grant match, and the landowner is going to provide the other $3,000.
I disagree with this. You're doing this for a private concern. And I don't think the taxpayers should be putting out money for it. This is, we went through this once before when this was brought up. And I understand we need more building, but if you got a private contractor that's gonna do this, why should the town be putting up money? And I disagree with that. We got so much grant money, we don't even have any grant money left, matching funds, because everything's tied up with other grants that's never came through. We've got, how many projects we got going right now, we haven't seen any action on. So personally, I'm totally against it.
So, I'm a dummy here, I don't quite understand it, how this does work. You're trying to apply for a grant for a private contractor. He's gonna do half and we're gonna do half, is that what you're anticipating? No?
This is just the planning portion of the development. When we spoke to some contractors earlier in the year, they were reluctant to come in and help us because they said, well, look, we want this planned out, we want to see what you want to build. They weren't willing to take all of that risk on themselves. So they said if you could find some money for planning and assessment of the land, they'd be more interested. So it would cost the town $3,000, and that's the end of it.
Anybody else we went on with this, like the Marble House down here, we supported them, but we didn't add any money. If they want our blessings, fine, but I say no to any grant money. It's just a private concern. If he hasn't got the money to get his own grant money or his own form, come on, it's not gonna fly. He can't come up with $6,000.
But if, I don't know if I'm hearing two different things here. I think I am anyway. You wanna try to make a plan for the town.
For one housing development, for 170 unit housing development.
And that plan would include water structures, sewer structures.
Recreation areas, roads.
And basically, we'd have to do that anyway.
No,
Am
we
I
wouldn't.
thinking right?
No,
No?
private concern, you have to have that planned out on his own,
We'd have to tie in though, wouldn't we?
from the road. Oh, they'd tie in to our water and sewer at Airport Road. We'd have nothing to do with going up into the project. Just like Apple Tree or Adams, or Albert's Court down here, Alfred's Courts.
Alfred Court.
I'd like to think, I'm all for more housing, more houses to tax, and on that line, I'm hesitant to agree with Jay with someone else's land and spend taxpayers' money to do studies. If we had, if it was the town's land, and we wanna see what we wanna do with it, and we're gonna get a grant, no, okay. My other, I don't feel any more comfortable, I guess, than Jay does, as much as if I'm going to, once we do $3,000 towards a grant study, I don't believe that's our exposure. I believe we're gonna get into the discussion we had about a month and a half ago, where we said, well, what's really the exposure of the town? Is the town prepared to spend $100,000 to put multiple housing units in there? I want us, as we're doing this study, I'm trying to get it right in my mind, similar to you over there, Rich, of saying, okay, we don't own the land. I've heard that it's a combination, multi-unit of low income and some starter homes, but 50% low income. When I hear that, and I'm sitting here as a taxpayer in Fairhaven, I'm going, Fairhaven has a very high saturation of low income housing to begin with. I believe in helping as much as I can in that area, but also you can't do it at the detriment of the rest of the taxpayers trying to put everything in place there. So I'm not really a supporter anymore than Jay is of going for that grant personally. That's just me. Chad, I don't
Oh,
throwing you right in the deep end of the pool.
this is to dive right in, right? So if I'm understanding it correctly, there's a developer who's interested in developing a 170 unit project. And they are asking for some planning to be done in advance to the tune of about $6,000. 3 would be in grants and another 3 would come from the town. When it's all said and done, what kind of tax revenue would we be looking at from a housing development such as that?
So I mean, it would be substantial, just, if I could find my Excel spreadsheet.
It would be 5 years before you ever see it. By the time you plan, they hadn't even got a plan written yet. And again, they're asking the town to put money up front, and that's not what we're here for.
Who owns the land?
Of Bill Bischoff.
I'd be concerned also that we go in, spend town money, do the research, and Mr. Bischoff decides, oh, I think I'll put solar panels in there instead. Thanks, but, well, I'm not, we've just spent
I
money
agree.
for, I'm just, I believe there's a housing need, and I believe there's a need for low-income housing. I also believe it would be nice to have starter homes or even people like my age group that are saying, I want to downsize and get into a small ranch. If we had them, I think you could sell them and people would move into them. But this one just I don't want to be in the speculation business, and just like I think before when we were talking about the Green Mountain Mobile Manor, I don't want to be in the trailer park business either. I don't think that's our job as a municipality to be in that business. It's our job to support Adams House, Apple Tree, other places, Alfred Court. I'm all for it. Those weren't looking for the town to go out and spend money. So
All he asked us to do was to support him. And to sign on. Town just signed on when they were getting their grant money. Nothing came out of the town. All they wanted to have, the town, in order for them to get a grant, the town had to sign on with them to get that grant. But it was at no cost to the town whatsoever.
So why couldn't that happen in this case?
I'm all for if Mr. Bischoff wants to go and get his own $6,000 grant, do his study, would not mind writing a letter of support for Mr. Bashoff, no different than anyone else. But that's not what I'm here, they're asking for.
Where does this property reside on the town?
It's in rural zone, just across from the trailer park.
It's where the cornfield is.
So there is no restrictions on that property.
See that, you can see the cornfields way out in the back?
Yeah,
That's part of it. It comes up along the side there.
so that will be on town water.
We have, right, we have water.
And
And
sewer.
Yeah,
The
I
trailer
think-
park isn't on sewer, is it?
Yeah, they bump into the
Sewer,
system.
sewer goes right by, if they have their own
Trailer park's on town sewer.
Pump station's right in front of the
pump
trailer park.
station, because we have sewer that goes all the way up past them to the armory and up, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause the armory is hooked onto our sewer system.
So, I mean, the infrastructure is there, that's fine.
the landowner stands to make some money off of this development, I would imagine.
Sure.
My thinking is if it was our land, that might be a different story if we wanted to develop it, but I could certainly see taxpayers getting upset if we're spending taxpayer money to help someone make some money. And I get that the housing piece is critical, and I think in the long term, it's certainly going to be worthwhile to go through planning and development of that area. I'm just wondering, is there a different way we can support and bring the project to fruition? Perhaps encouraging Mr. Bischoff to seek that grant with our support, but solely putting up the 6,000.
And then you talked about, I think it was a couple meetings ago, Jay, you talked about reduced tax rate or something for a year or two or
You
whatever,
can do a tax, you can do
What do
a
you call
tax stabilization for them.
tax stabilization.
But that wouldn't follow the sale.
What's that?
Wouldn't follow the sale. He's looking to build these to sell
To sell them.
or rent.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe some.
Yeah, I don't think.
It probably wouldn't, it might not apply to that, because it's,
Maybe
well,
as a renter, if it's a rental properties, then that would apply.
right,
But not to sell. It
not
would
to
follow
sell,
the
right,
sale.
right.
So, and I'm still trying to get my mind around, well, the person who owns the land, who wants some help in doing some design work, I'm not convinced they're gonna build anything. They're gonna find a developer that they're gonna sell the idea and the land to. So I keep looking and saying,
Helping someone make a buck.
right, it doesn't.
He's coming to the town for a reason.
It doesn't feel.
Well, no, I searched these ideas, I searched this plan out. This is 100% me. This is 100% me, nobody approached me.
No,
But, too, I've heard, we're not in the development business at all. That's not the business we're in. We're in the tax collecting business. That's what the town does. It's ancillary. It's, for some reason, it makes people mad that somebody made a couple bucks. So, yeah, he did. But those homes that man built will be there not for this year, not for 5 years, not for 10 years, 100 years those homes will be there. And you will be collecting $375,000 every year for 100 years.
That's the figure.
It's at current rate with
But,
a minimum.
Joey, go back to the same thing. If this guy's a businessman, and if he feels he can do this,
you should be doing.
that's his, he can do anything he wants, but the town should not be involved in this.
In a state like Michigan or California, I would agree with that. In a state like Vermont, where things only happen when we push them and force them to happen, that's not what happens here.
Why isn't he going to the state instead of the town?
I reached out to these people to see what we could do to develop.
Well,
develop.
let him, if he wants to develop, I'm 100% supportive for the development if he wants to do it.
I'd love to support him also, but I get a bad feeling about upfront money for him. I really do at this point. if there was some real concrete plans and we knew he was gonna build some homes, but we don't know that yet. Right? We're just hoping.
And, well, the same thing.
Glenn might be right about that. They might go through this and then show a solar field up there.
If we
Or
were,
they might build 170 homes.
yeah,
Yeah, I know.
but I mean,
I know what you're saying.
I'm gambling with taxpayers. I get it, but there's certain gambles, money that I'm not willing to gamble on. Like, for example, if you were sitting here saying, I want $6,000 and we'll come up with $3,000, because we decided to go up to the airport and take our land and divide it up and build housing and build starter homes, because we own the land already. We have the land, water and sewers right there. Then I could get a little more. So I say, so go spend the money, do the study, because we already, it's our land. We're doing it for all the reasons you're talking here. I could get a little more excited. It's the part of that land not being.
That would give us a lot of tax base.
Oh, that would.
I want to see this come to fruition, 170 more homes. And I know that, you know, it was your efforts to go out and kind of find a way. Hey, how can we kickstart this? I'm wondering, have we approached Mr. Bischoff on him putting forth the money to match the state funds and work as kind of
With
an
our
intermediary?
With our
Yeah.
support.
We could.
If you know.
I get that it's an investment. $3,000 from the town for the idea of $375,000 in tax revenue for however many years. But I'm struggling with a piece of it being a privately owned land.
The actually is, so he's getting a grant for 3, and he's looking for us to grant him 3, and he's got no skin.
No skin in the game.
It's a grant for 60.
60?
60.
Oh,
The match is, the
Match is
match is
10%.
6%.
10%.
6,000. So we do half the match.
okay, so he's still looking for no. Oh, he's gonna come up with.
He's gonna come up with the other half of the match.
He wants us to pay half his match.
But again, if the guy can't afford $6,000, there's a problem here.
Oh, they're not gonna, it's not gonna fly if that's stopping them. I mean, the numbers, the way the numbers all come together, if they look as great as we're saying, I don't know why he's not just coming to us saying he'd like our support, and we'll absolutely support him with a letter of support, not a dollar from my pocket. That's me.
Yeah, if he sells them, if he builds them and sells them, he's gonna make one heck of a profit on it. And $3,000 shouldn't be
It's not good.
shouldn't be nothing to him if this is what he's gonna do.
I mean, where we invest as a town, I see is that goes in there and it'll be no different than they'll put their own road in and then we'll be asked to take the road on. This is not just free money with no expense that goes with it. There's still, we look at our infrastructure and say, okay, do we have excess ability to do more roads? And, because I think we do, we have plenty of capability to do that. But let's face it though, it's also going to be, if we get 70 units going there, what's the pressure on the school system and everything else? I mean, I can look at the tax base on the individual houses, but what's the real, what are we gaining at the end of the day? And I'm just concerned that I don't think we put enough. I haven't seen the statistics around it that says this is one we just gotta take. I'd sooner get more excited about the refrigeration plant that we wanted to put out here, or bring some kind of new business. I'm not looking, and I can't say it enough. We have we do not want more no-income, low-income housing in the town of Fairhaven. It's bringing us right to our knees.
I mean, we've
We're already
already,
saturated.
we got a lot of property in Fairhaven that the town of Fairhaven owns, that we get nothing off from.
Nothing.
Not a thing. And maybe we ought to pursue some of that development. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Develop our own land.
That way there, that could go back on the tax rolls. Make a difference.
Is that property even be checked to see if it's in the flood zone?
There's some wetlands on it, yeah.
It's,
There's another
with
situation.
Mud Creek and every, I just, at the end of the day, not so sure what could really.
I'd like to make a motion that we don't get involved with this, gentlemen.
I don't even need a motion.
I mean,
Yeah,
what we're
we can
doing is just,
skip
we're
right
just,
past
I think, and I don't want you to take this wrong, Joe, because I think thinking out of the box is the right thing to do when you're trying to help them. That's great. It's, I think what we're pretty much saying is, not, this one right here, we're not ready. Okay.
Yeah. I agree. I don't feel right about it right at this point either.
Okay.
I mean, we got some businesses closing down here in town that it's gonna hurt this town. So we, you know, we gotta try to come up with some ideas here to get the tax base up.
Right.
But, and that's,
I agree with you.
yeah, that,
Rich, nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna change unless this board takes action. Just that's, if you put a period at, that's it. Nothing will change unless the town does it. They're not coming to help us. The businesses out there, the big businesses aren't coming, the state's not coming. You know, George Soros isn't coming with cash. The only people, but, you know what I mean, there's, nobody else will help us. The only people to do that is us.
Yeah,
So you may not like this idea, but
Oh, no, keep
agree
coming
with
up
you.
with ideas.
I agree with you. I just
But,
don't. I mean, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about them poor old lady taxpayers out there that are struggling. They don't know if they're gonna be able to have their medicine and keep warm this winter, you know? And that, I feel for them folks, you know? And there's a lot of that going on.
Hold for now. Under new business, traffic ordinance discussion. You wanna
So
set that up?
at the last meeting, we had, the board had kicked around some ideas about maybe a 25-mile-an-hour zone again downtown. And in meetings past, we talked about some sticky spots in town with parking around corners that made it hard to see. A gentleman came in and asked about truck traffic through town, and it seemed like maybe there were things that the board wanted to adjust in the traffic ordinance. So that's why we brought it up today.
And were you looking for some feedback from board members of what we thought of the ordinance, or?
I was, anything that anything the board feels should be changed. It would be nice to go through and make those changes in one swoop. Since I've been here, I think we've edited it every year, kind of nickel and dimed it, and it'd be nice to get it all done all at once. It is a process to do this kind of thing.
Why don't we take these home and read them? And then discuss it at our next meeting? You know, that way, that way everybody will be familiar with what's in here. It's kinda hard to go through it right now and try to make a decision.
And keep in the, I think that's a good suggestion, keep in the back of your mind, when I glanced at this thing here, made note to myself that when you're looking through this, you know how we talked at our last meeting about the 25 mile an hour and whether, speed regulation is one thing, sit there, be thinking in terms of the speed on 4th Street that we talked about, and you had So there's a place where they break down what the different speeds are on the different streets. Also,
Everything in town is 30, correct?
we have,
Yes.
we have,
Everything in town.
But Pine Street
we
says
we have
25.
we have 25 at certain times. When you read through the ordinance,
I mean,
Private road.
No, Pine Street.
Oh,
Pine Street's 25.
yeah.
Pine Street's 25, Mechanics 25. When you look at this ordinance, you're gonna see we have 25, 30, 35. It talks about, your 50 out here, the other side.
There's no speed limit on my street.
There's, and then they say somewhere they have a catch-all that says, if there's nothing posted, it's 30 miles an hour. I think they have a catch-all in here. Only point I wanted to make that there were things many things we thinking about. The one, I know my idea of a four-way stop at the end of Mechanic and Fourth, we probably didn't go, but I went to see what the different stop sign segment in here, and was saying, okay, if there was also in school zones, when the light's flashing out here, school is going in or letting out, it's 25 miles an hour here. I was always scratching my head saying, school zone, 25 miles an hour, 4th Street,
Fourth
school
Street.
zone, it's 30 and they're
It should be
going 40, why
Fourth-
isn't it?
4th
25?
Street, in my opinion, should be 25. The whole street, because they fly down through there.
They do fly it.
So, and the only point is when you're looking at those are, there was one other one in here, because it's a pretty long ordinance. It was brought up at one meeting about a safety concern coming off from West Street when an 18-wheeler would park too close to the end, they couldn't see around them.
Oh, yes.
And there's a parking piece in here where it looks like they addressed it on 4th and Washington, that it might be something that we just now applies down at West Street. But those are the only things I heard people talk about. Yeah, I don't know if there's something I missed.
I don't know if this is the place for it, but there's a few intersections in town, well, driveways in town, or intersections that residents are allowing the shrubbery and bushes and stuff to grow right out. You can't get out of Stewart's,
Oh, no. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's tougher.
okay?
Yeah, that
I mean,
one
you
tree.
can't safely, you can obviously get out, but the intersection is right there, okay? And people, you're looking up, trying to take a right, and you're creeping out, and you're gonna get clipped, or you're gonna clip someone as they go by. 'Cause the intersection's right there. Same thing with the post office. You come out there, and there's apple trees on South Main. The apple trees are right there, and you have to creep out, and you're hanging your bumper way out there, potentially. I don't know if this is a place to discuss that kind of stuff, but, you know, if the residents, the landowners are not, I'm sure it's in the right of way, the town right of way, the road right of way. But if the residents don't want to do it, there's gotta be something that says, the town has the right to safely trim those hedges.
You have the same situation up on Academy Street.
Yep.
Coming off Academy Street, trying to look down South Main Street, you can't see beyond the lilac tree. And
So-
I cut all of my trees up, about 12 or 14 feet, cut all the limbs up on all my trees. There's one the bus driver said something about one day, so I went out and I cut it up. And, you know, so, and that tree across the street has been in conflict here for 10 years, 15 years. And they won't do anything about
Shrubs
it.
grow.
Yeah, they do, real fast.
But there's gotta be a little bit of safety. I don't know if this is the place for it,
Well, I don't see why it couldn't be put in here where a person has to keep the shrubbery cut back on their property.
and if they don't wish to, the town has
The
right
town
to do
can
it
go and
without-
do it. If they're warned once, that, you know, about the fact that it is a hazard, and they don't do anything about it, then the town should be able to go in and take care of it. I'm not saying cut back 30 feet on a guy's property. You just gotta see so you can get around the corner.
That's typically what we do if we get branches or bushes or in that spot up there. I need to get a hold of them because it's real bad. So if it's real bad like that, we'll send the homeowner a letter saying, hey, cut this back. And if they don't, the guys will go.
Yeah,
in
see,
and
that's what,
whack it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't,
Right
I
there
don't,
on that the corner of the driveway, I don't know if that's Stewart's or if
I
that's
think it's just, I think it's just on a neighbor,
right on the line.
just past the fence.
Okay.
Yeah,
I-
they trimmed it a couple times, but it keeps growing over.
I requested that to have trim, but I was told it was a state's problem, not the town's.
It was on states right away, yeah, that's why.
Oh, yeah, that's a state road.
That the
Dalton
state,
Avenue's a
but
state road?
to your point,
State road.
we can put it in here. I think we should check first before we put it in there to make sure there isn't a shrubbery thing that already exists someplace. I want to make sure that where it is, but, so it sounds like, are we good as a board saying, let's go take a look at this, mark it up, and then we discuss it at our next meeting?
I think that's what you should do. I think that's what we should do.
We can do that. I don't think we need a motion or anything like that, but we just, that's what we'll do.
Table it.
Table it. Good. Next item is the trailer park tax sale municipal bid. E.
Yeah.
Wanna get the-
So it's, like I said earlier, I started the research on this property since nothing's happening. It's well overdue for tax sale. As of the 8/3, the trailer park owes $33,797.18.
And that's just taxes.
That's just the taxes.
What was that figure again, Joe?
$33,797.18.
Help calibrate me a little bit, Joe. When you say the trailer park tax it's the person who owns the land that the lots are sitting on, not the trailers themselves.
Exactly. Some of the trailers are owned by individuals, and those taxes go to that trailer. We're talking about just the land.
Just the land.
You're talking about just the ownership that Ron White owns. So that'd mean any trailer that he owns in there would be part of the tax,
If he owns it, it goes with the land.
or the estate, I'm sorry, the estate.
But some people do own their own
Is
trailers.
Right,
there-
there's 4 or 5 in there, they own.
They
Is
own
there
their own
4 or
trailers
5
and
in
pay
there
taxes.
that he does own?
Oh, he owned, at one time, he owned almost all of them.
So getting back to that, I think somebody asked last meeting if there was a breakdown of the trailers in there that owe also.
There are. So you know what, I sent that only to Bob, but I think there were. I got it right here. Bear with me 1 second, Mr. Greeno. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 trailers. I got 4 trailers in the trailer park that have not paid their taxes.
That are privately owned.
Privately owned.
Other than,
Other than the ones that Ron owns.
and is that
I think one person, there's one person that's there, everybody else is abandoned or dead.
really? So what's that amount to in figures, Joe? Do you have that?
It's not big money.
We get 200.
Yeah, and it was like almost $4,000.
I would consider that
Big money.
not super big money, but good money.
Good one.
Good one.
So now we're talking pretty close to $40,000 with them units plus the property. 38,000 combined.
So that'd have to be the minimum bid.
Well,
We'd have a tax sale of the trailers individually.
right.
No, okay, but, so we can put on there that the minimum bid has to be $33,797.
so that we break even on what's oldest?
It will be that, I mean, that number will change a little bit with
The number will
interest and
change
penalties.
depending on the time of the sale.
Yeah, so, if the board wanted to make a bid of just the minimum bid, they could do that, which would be, I don't know, maybe close to $40,000 once it hits the sale, the day of the sale.
And there can only be a bid if there's no other bid.
The
On the
town can
sale.
only take it if nobody else bids, yes. We don't get to just buy property.
But we don't wanna
Not
take
as a
it.
real estate agent.
We don't have to take it.
You don't have to.
So, just what happens in the future? This continues to run delinquent, completely abandoned. What's the cost to the town if there are no bids and the town does nothing with it?
I mean, so into the future, if there are no bids and the town doesn't take it, it'll just sit there. It'll continue to accrue taxes. But you won't be able to recoup them.
So we'd have to write those off each year.
Yeah,
If you could clean the place up, I mean, I think there was 20 lots in there at one time, I believe.
That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah, so, but if you can get rid of what's in there and clean the place, the town will get the money back if they got the bid. I think they would anyways. Because you go in there and sell individual building lot, water and sewer's in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But as far as getting it and having to clean it up too,
Does anybody know the acreage that's up there?
5.8.
5.8?
I thought there was more than that.
It says
Five-
water
it's
is
5.8.
There's a water plant that is not usable.
I thought there was more than that there.
No, I did too. It's only just over 5 acres. It's very small.
And didn't we, getting off the Green Mountain Mowing Manor for a minute, didn't we take and no one bid for a piece of property that we finally, we took, and it's the one we had on Main Street that they ended up tearing it down and.
Greeners.
Right, and we got, we did when, after we cleaned it up, we were able to sell and we actually got all of our money back as a town. But that's only, so here you're just saying, yeah, go tax sale, it sounds like no one's telling you that that's not the right thing to do. Definitely, tax sale, it's the question you're looking for this board for is, do we wanna make the minimum bid or not?
Yes.
I mean, that's
today,
really,
what
that's the question for us, and what are your thoughts on, I know that, I think I heard Jay say, no, you're not supporting the minimum bid?
I don't think the town should own it, but
Well,
If nobody bids?
I guess I'm confused. If we support the minimum bid and no one bids, we own it? Is that what you're telling me?
We don't have to take it.
I thought you,
My
yeah,
understanding.
that's what I thought you
If you
just
make a
said.
minimum bid, then it's yours.
No, but what I'm saying is, if we as a town, and if we put this up for tax sale, and we don't wanna put the minimum bid out, nobody else bids, it just stays right where it is. We don't, town doesn't own it.
You have to
We're
bid.
not in the trailer, is it right?
Yeah, but-
We're in the tax collection
but
business.
can't you put out what's owed on the place to be expected to be paid? If somebody buys it?
I don't,
Where does the money go? If we tax sale it,
Yeah.
and a person buys it for $34,000, where does that money go?
That money goes right into our, the town.
Right to the town, correct? Okay.
Well, yeah, that's what a tax sale is, isn't it? You buy a piece of property for what taxes are owed, and you own it after a certain period of time.
After a year, I believe. So, if that was to happen, person bought it for what's owed on it, or what the taxes are, that money'd have to go into an escrow somewhere for a year, correct?
Yep, we hold
In
that money.
case the people that own the property want to buy it back. Okay.
but I think what you're saying then is, by us approving you to make a minimum bid, if nobody bids on it, we then are responsible for the property.
We would pay the back.
And that's what, and I'm just trying to, I don't wanna put words in your mouth, I think what you're trying to tell us is, in that situation, we own the property, we then have the ability to go, understand it, it's a lot easier said than done, because first people would need to go out, then you would clean the place up, and you would either sell it and try to recoup what you lost, somewhere where you don't wanna be property owners, you're eventually going to sell it and try to recoup our 33,797.18.
But you would have to get $60,000 out of it, because it's gonna cost you that much to
Just to
clean
clean
it up.
up, just to clean up.
Remember, it cost us a lot more than what we were planned on Greeners, when they cleaned that up. We figured like two containers, and ended up with like 4, didn't we? 4 or 5?
Was it 4? It was something like that.
Yeah, it
We
was-
ended up paying something like 20,000 total.
Yeah, it was a lot more than what we were planned on paying for, but we started, so we had to do it.
But if we did get it, we'd be instant landlords, wouldn't we? And then you gotta get new ones.
Oh, then there's, cause I was just trying to get to the extra cost but what I don't wanna be, we tax sale it, nobody, and it's still sitting there. Because we didn't make, is the process because we didn't put the minimum bid or the decision, we'd have to let the taxes continue to go up, tax sale again, before you could do it. So I think what Joe's trying to do is save, are you trying to save us some money from having to? No, I'm just trying to understand the
So
process.
if the only people that will do anything is us, they aren't going to help us. If the nonprofits don't come, so there are a group of nonprofits that would like to buy this and rehab that trailer park. So there is that possibility. But if they don't come through with their money, that trailer, or the park will just sit there and continue to decay. Taxes will continue to rise on it, which makes it, as it decays further and more taxes go up, it's less likely somebody's going to buy it. I'm not sitting here saying it's easy, and I'm not saying that you will make a profit on this after you sell it. What I'm saying is it's a blight, and somebody needs to clean up the blight in Fairhaven. And if not us, then nobody will.
What if the park was closed?
That would make life easier, because then there wouldn't be anybody there.
So, we give this group that's supposed to be helping them out, we gave them a time frame
Yep.
of October, I believe, right? October 1st? September?
August 31st.
So, if they don't get things straightened around, it's over with, right?
We can't as the town close the park. If they don't pay their water bills, we can turn off their water. If they don't pay their taxes, we can sell their land. But we can't. We don't have any authority to close their park.
We kind of do with the health officer.
Yeah.
It's condemned. Because it's just not livable conditions.
Yeah, I think regardless of how it closes or changes hands, I think whoever's living it in there, I'd like to see us at least point people in the right direction for resources for alternative housing that's more healthy and more stable for them. I'm curious what kind of revenue this would bring in the future and what kind of development opportunity there is for us, though. That's what I'd be curious about.
It would be nice if, so instead of doing a planning grant across the street, it would be nice if the landowner was a little bit more, worked with us a little bit more. Because I think the state in particular would like to see this development stayed developed and just cleaned up. But we really haven't had a lot of cooperation. This would be prime time for that landowner to do something.
There's hardly any cooperation in there, is my understanding, correct?
None. The tenants themselves have been taking care of the park. They're very proud of it. They've done a good job just kind of keeping things going, but
So I think you still can't put the town has to put a minimum bid in, no, you're saying?
no, you don't, the town doesn't have to bid at all.
But when you go on a tax sale, do they know what's owed on it? And they know it's gotta be paid? Right.
That day you have to pay it.
Not you have to pay the entire amount of what's owed, right? Yeah. Still, it's a tough situation. As long as the town don't end up with it, do whatever you have to do.
Do you think them nonprofits are interested in paying that much money for that?
They said they're interested in buying it, but
They didn't indicate.
But that one woman that was speaking that day on the phone, or on the television, or we were having a conversation, she said that just the study was so far so expensive, and planning for the water and sewer to go in, that it was, she thought it was out of their ability to do something.
There is a trend growing, tiny house developments in different rural and suburban communities out there. If water and sewer are already at these individual spots for trailers, there might be a market for that.
I heard Glenn wanted to buy a ranch.
I want to downsize, right? And go into. So, we're still, the question that we're trying, Joe's gonna tax sale for that. The real question is, do we want to make the minimum bid or not as a town? And I hear no. Rich?
So in other words, we gotta set a minimum bid.
but they're
Is what's it?
the back taxes will
The
be
minimum bid has to be the back taxes, period.
period.
It has to be 33,797,
Yeah, whatever.
whatever it is at the time.
And that's the way it'd be advertised, correct?
Yeah, we'll put in what's owed for that month, whatever it is. What I'm asking Rich is, do you, as the town, want to buy a trailer park
No.
for back taxes?
I don't wanna buy a trailer.
Okay.
Don't want to buy a trailer park.
Are we buying a trailer park, or essentially are we buying land? I mean, we're gonna have to
Buying a trailer
tear down, some abandoned properties, but I guess that's how I look at it. Now, pardon my ignorance, but what does that look like from an accounting perspective? Us putting in a minimum bid and then receiving that money in back taxes?
So it will come out of current budget. That money comes out of current budget, it goes to revenue of the delinquent tax. So that way we pay ourselves.
So at the end of the day, how much are we spending after it's all said and done and out of escrow back into our account?
I mean, it would just for that process, it's just back taxes. And I guess in my time.
But it's the problem you're gonna inherit. That's the bad part.
So, one thing to consider is, if we took ownership of this and had everybody evicted out of there, got everything tore down and cleaned up, you got probably 5, maybe 6 lots you could develop.
Oh, more than that.
You mean to put trailers on?
You
No,
have 5 acres and you could put starter homes in at
I'm
0.3 acre per
I'm talking homes. I
home.
mean, you just shy of 6 homes are just shy of an acre.
That's what I was
That'd
saying.
be a pretty nice little
Yeah.
development.
You have a little cul-de-sac there and you
That's
have,
what I'm thinking.
the homes.
Yeah.
So I could reach out to the property owner and see if they were interested in doing a development. It would be easier to work together than fight about it.
Do we enter back into that same dynamic as the original conversation of the other property? You know, because I would imagine
Sure.
there would need to be funding for developing and getting another planning situation.
Yeah, good one. It would be exactly like that.
This,
Isn't there a contention in the estate? Is there, I thought it was his kids,
No, it's,
his girlfriend, who was the one. I thought there was family involved.
I think there's a daughter involved in everything so this is just what I've heard. I haven't seen any hard evidence, but it doesn't sound like anybody wants the property, so it's just kind of languishing in probate.
But I guess the question I'm asking is, who do you go to find out if they want to develop it? If it's sitting in the state,
So,
that's in probate.
Yeah, I would talk to the administrator.
Wants nothing to do with it.
so the reason it's been in probate for so many years, I've been here in 7 years already, is this true?
Something like that, yeah.
Why isn't this settled somehow?
The lawyers on the
Because nobody wants it? Is this what I'm hearing?
That's what I have heard, is that, well, it's a huge liability right now. Who wants to put their name on it? At least that's what I've heard. I'm not.
Yeah, it'd
making
be a
a claim
huge
against
liability, it would
anybody.
be a huge liability for the town of Fairhaven also. You know, it would be way less of a liability if it was empty. Way less. And then we could clean it up and we could sell them lots, and I'm sure people would build on them.
when we listed for tax sale, how long is the window we're accepting bids for?
It's that day. I literally stand here and say, who wants to bid?
But you give a notice, how long
Okay.
from the time you notice and they have to make the bid?
Month?
I think
It'll go out
it's
to the
I think
newspaper,
it's
so
like 30 days or
yeah.
something. Then you say, okay, if you want to bid, you have X amount of time, usually about
Okay.
30 days.
They usually set a date, but it's like 30 days in advance,
Yeah.
I think, because
Would we know if there was an external bid before that day? Or would essentially it be an
possibly,
auction? Okay.
I mean,
Someone
it
calls
is
and asks
literally.
questions.
Is it-
Get a level of interest if someone calls and asks questions.
Sure.
Mhm.
Which, yeah, that happens. People call and I have an email list that people are always interested in these things.
My thinking, and maybe it's some selfish thinking, I would like a little more time to educate myself a little further. I'm just thinking, can we table this for 2 weeks and then have a decision on whether or not we're going to place a bid? And in the meantime, maybe get some human resources and state resources in to help folks relocate, kind of knowing that regardless of who's going to own it at the end of the day, they won't be living there. Just kind of be proactive with trying to essentially clear the property.
We've been trying to have these people relocated for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Okay, all right.
And they, you know,
Contracted
and
agencies.
nobody, the only reason why these people are in here right now is they came in the last minute. We hadn't heard from these people for 6 years.
Mhm.
We had reached out to this organization before, and we never even bothered until June, right?
As soon as the water was turned
Soon-
on.
When the water was turned off, all
soon
of a
as the
sudden,
water valve turned
everybody
off.
was here wanting to do something.
But
Okay.
can't we go and tax sale it, start the process right now? We don't have to make the decision on whether we're going to make the minimum bid for the 2 weeks you're talking about.
Mhm.
We don't have to make that decision right at the time of tax sale. We just have to, at the day of the tax sale, have to have the decision of whether we're gonna make the minimum bid, isn't that correct?
Sure, you got time.
So I'm saying I would not hold up, wait any longer to tax it. I would start that process And we have up until that, at least, and it's at least 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, you have at least 2 weeks.
I think it's. well,
I think you should start the procedure.
oh, and then we can have more discussion after, and that'll move us on. Does that,
That's perfect.
Even if we put it in for tech, we don't have to bid on it.
that's correct. You don't have to,
Does that, if we don't put a bid on it, does that stop us from tax sailing it again?
No, we can tax sale
when you
again.
tax sale again, it's just the added cost of
It'll be more
going to another
expensive.
No,
tax.
yeah. I'm just wondering, where do you go if no one wants it?
That's, I asked VLCT this, and it's like, well, what happens if so they said, well, you can do distraint, where you take some property for taxes, really no property. You can take a small claims court, it's a little high, or you could foreclose, but that takes years and it's extremely expensive, so. There's really not a good answer to this, this entire problem.
Okay.
And this is one of the problems, they know it.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're good on that one?
We can put it on for 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, we'll discuss again whether we want to make a bid. Okay, next item on our agenda is the policy review anti-displacement policy that we had in our packets.
So this is, this policy, it comes straight from the Vermont Community Development Program. We had to sign this to get the funds to do our town hall project. And just as, I'm just following the list from A to Z here, and this is just the next one on the list to talk about. The anti-displacement relocation policy is this only comes into play for the town of Fairhaven if the town uses this grant money from these folks to displace other people. Otherwise, it doesn't come into any discussion about anything ever. Does that make sense? The VCDP program gives us money and we displace people. That's the only time this will come into play. There's no other reason for this to come into effect.
So that means if we sign this policy and we end up closing Green Mountain Mobile Manor, those people have to go somewhere. We didn't get any money from VCDP, so we are not required, because it says on municipality will provide relocation assistance. I'm just, don't want to sign something that says it's going to cost us more money if I sign it.
Sure, exactly. So
If we don't take any money from them, we can have this policy, and the only time we have to live to it is if we have funding from them for a specific project. Is that correct?
a specific project that then impacts somebody's housing.
That impacts, that we took money from them to try to keep them there. So for example, if VCDP were to give us some money to keep the people in the trailer park, and we find in 6 months it didn't work, and they have to leave, the way I read this policy is we would be responsible for helping provide relocation assistance and get them into new housing
At the cost of the town.
to the cost of the town. That's the way I read this.
Yes.
And so
I won't sign it.
that's,
Or if we expanded a road
That
and,
doesn't sound like a good deal for a town.
well,
where it is.
that's where I'm just,
Okay, so this sounds much scarier than it is.
okay,
We will never land in this situation. What is most likely to happen is VCDP gives us money to finish an elevator. We take VCDP money, right? We're using it here. We're not displacing anybody. This policy that doesn't affect us because we're not making people leave their homes. BCDP, maybe they'll build a playground for us. Nobody's being displaced, so we don't need to worry about this. This just lets us have grant money. We're just saying we're not gonna move people out of their homes.
That won't work either, because if we decide they gotta get out of the trailer park,
Only if this money is used to move those people.
I thought the elevator's already covered with grants and everything else, why do we need more?
It's,
Just use an example.
I'm just
Yeah.
using it as an example.
I think it's an obligation to accept the grant money.
It's just
Basically,
a
you're not gonna,
checkbox.
you're not gonna use this money to do a project that kicks people out of their homes.
No intention of doing that, thank you,
Yeah.
Jay.
The trailer park's a little different because it's going to tax sale, and there's really no projects going through that involve grant money.
And there's no grant money going towards that,
Hmm.
so it's not the thing.
Okay, because you understand how, when I saw BZ, and then I looked at the other one, I was putting the two together myself, going, bless you, I'm going, wait a minute. If we took any money for the Green Mountain Mobile Trailer Park from these people, I'd give it back to them, because it's gonna cost me more money
Yeah.
than, in the end, taking responsibility to move it. And that's, so as long as, if we're clear, you're saying, hey, look, it isn't, even though there's a lot of, this document reads dwelling units and relocation, and it seems like the unit someone's living in is what this policy is. I don't get how this,
If we got money to build a park and we decided to tear down a house to build it, we'd have to pay for that.
exactly.
The homeowner, or the home occupants to move.
I'll make a motion that we don't sign this residential anti-displacement relocation plan.
You do not or do?
Do not.
Do that. Do I have a second?
I don't understand it totally, so I'm not gonna open my mouth here.
Well, I'm-
Trying to think of a good example.
There isn't enough information here to say that we're not gonna get stuck. That's what bothers me. Anything to do with the state or any of these other programs.
Well, I think the intention is that towns will get stuck with the cost of relocating folks if they're using grant monies to essentially
So in
drive
other
them
words,
out
they're
of their
holding us
homes.
over a barrel, we can't get grant money unless we sign this paper. Is that correct?
Is that what this is?
You have to sign this to get grant money, yes.
Grant money from who?
BCDP,
Just that organization.
just that organization.
Then let them keep their grant. What have we already taken money that we have to pay back?
I don't know if we'd have to pay it back, but this is already a policy that the board has signed. We're just updating it,
This board is signed or are they previous?
well, the previous board.
How many times does that happen? I mean, does this happen every year?
This is the first,
At least once that I've been here, but this is, I don't think,
I have never seen this before.
I don't know if you signed it or not.
Can we, here's the hesitation I'm getting here. Is saying, I would feel more comfortable if we tabled this. I'd like to see the one that's signed and would like a little more clarification.
I'd love to have some more information.
And
on it.
information. I'm not ready to say, no, I won't, or yes, I will. I'm just saying I have more questions, and my comfort level, I'm with you.
And I will withdraw my motion and say we table this until we get more information.
Right. 'Cause I wouldn't be a bit surprised to find my name on one of these right here, but I can't remember seeing one either. So, I mean, I just want to see it and understand it, and so Does that put, is there any time sensitive? Are we waiting for a grant application or anything?
No, not at all. Again,
Okay.
this is just the next one in line is why I chose this one. I'm just going A to Z.
Satisfied with that, are we, as a board?
Yeah, I need
We're
more
not saying yes or
information.
no, we're just. Okay. Parking lot. Anyone have anything, the parking lot is, looks like we're ARPA spending, downtown designation, town plan, Adam Street Bridge. We're waiting for, we should find out by Friday this week, I think is the deadline you were saying, Joe, on Adam Street?
I reached out and I poked a few people just to see if they had any inside information. I feel like if I didn't get, somebody telling me secretly that we won, then we probably didn't win.
And again, the zoning, we've got our planning board that's working on the zoning updates, and they're gonna do the town plan right after. I think the downtown designation, that's the one where, the Economic Development Committee was waiting for zoning to, I think, finish some things before we went. We're trying to get, we have a village designation. We wanna get a downtown designation, cause it's a bigger pot of money when you go after grants for doing things. ARPA spending, that right there is we've earmarked and spent some money, but we still have,
Do we have a, I should have marked it down, but do we have an updated list on what we've actually committed of that money?
Yes, I just made one today. I can hand you a copy if you want, or I just stick it in your mailbox. I'll put it in your mailbox.
Okay, well, I mean, you just don't know, you don't know that off the top of your head probably, right?
Not off the top of my head.
okay?
I know it was just a couple of things, but the salt shed was one of them, which nothing's happened.
83 for salt shed.
83.
I think there were 3 water type sewer payments that we made on
It was 4, because there was a small loan for the pump station that we paid off of that as well.
And
All the loans that the board committed something like 290,000. And that,
For payback, for pay down.
To pay down.
yeah,
Mhm.
but because you paid it off so early, you saved like $30,000. So it was a good.
I'd like to see a copy of what we got, what we done, and what we.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have. I think we've done this in 2 or 3 different meetings. and I
It
don't have
was,
all
it hasn't, it wasn't all done in one meeting.
Right.
No.
A list of how the ARPA funds were spent.
Oh,
yeah, some of the, I mean, we've spent some, we still have quite a bit of ARPA
Oh, yeah.
still sitting there.
I think it's still like 600,000 or something, 500 and something thousand.
500 and
Yeah.
change. Okay. Want to move out of parking lot, go into board roundtable. Rich, you have anything?
Actually, I kind of do. I'm not sure how to really go about this, but I don't know if we have this already set up, but a budget to spend in the park each year, do we do anything like that? I mean, do we have, in other words, tree maintenance,
Upkeep.
another nice picnic table or 2 in there would be a nice thing. We could add 1 a year or something like that. Not a lot of money, but it'll add up over time, but, I think there's a couple of places where the trees could be maybe a couple more put in to get a head start on things.
Because we're gonna be starting losing some.
There's some in there that's dying away.
Yeah.
We have a line item for trees too.
And then, and another thing is the grass, maybe some topsoil. I don't know if we have ever planned on doing some fertilization in there, to keep the grass going good. But I also don't know if this lighting project's gonna interfere with any of that yet or not. Maybe all dug up and may have to re-landscape anyway. I don't know where that's at.
That's, the lighting is supposed to go right beside the road, the walkway, right? So we're not gonna be out into the park itself. So if there's places out there that need building up, it certainly wouldn't interfere with the lighting project.
No, it shouldn't. Most of the underground wiring was strictly right next to the path, if I remember the design right.
And then the light, the bases for the lights are just off the path too, if I remember right.
Yeah, there's a little bit of money for trees, and there's the maintenance for the park. Yeah, there's no money for new picnic tables.
Where did we get that money to put that one in? Didn't we get some money
There's one really nice one in
Yeah.
there, the concrete pad. And
Where-
there's been some people asked if there could be maybe a couple more put in.
Those are really nice. Yeah, the board budgeted that money last
2 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago.
Right,
Yeah, it was $450 just for for the table itself, plus cement and labor to put it in. So it's something we budget, and we didn't put it in the budget, but we can.
$450, huh?
That's not bad.
That was then.
What? You donated, the concert donated 25,000 or something to our lights.
20.
You know, if they were looking for something to donate, you know, a couple of tables, that's $800, $900. You know, I mean, I understand everything they do to operate their concert, but like if they have a really good 50-50 or something, you know, where they could, just a suggestion, I'm not saying they should take money away from them, I'm just saying, you know, if they're looking for something to donate to, you know, that'd be a good project.
So are you looking for, when we do our budget discussions this fall, to possibly get, because it looked like some of the park maintenance, it went along with, there was playground, like the mowing, we do playground park and different places, and the tree, we could do a better job of probably,
I
the
think
painting of the park fence is gonna come up again.
I think you're gonna see the itty bitty committee in here more, looking for
And it needs
some money too.
Yeah, there should be some money budgeted every year for fence maintenance, I would say. And,
Okay,
you know, tree maintenance, fence maintenance, landscape maintenance in there. The town dug up a spot there that hasn't been topsoiled in yet. It's all just a pile of sand there, right by the fountain. Just to the, as you're walking this way down, just to the right of the fountain, it's still all dug up and tore up.
Where the spigot is?
Where the,
Is there a spigot right there?
there's, yeah,
They fixed that water line right there.
They did.
And they fixed the water line, they put a spigot there, I believe,
and
and
that should be raked out, some topsoil and some
Right.
seed throw down there, some mulch fairly soon. I mean, we've had a lot of events there recently and it's still pretty much a mess.
okay. Anything else, Rich? Any other?
Well, I mentioned the cannon earlier, I don't know who's responsible for that cannon, I have no clue. But I was looking it over the other day and maybe we should, pursue some cleanup on that and some paint. The biggest thing is, in between the rails of the cannon on the concrete, it's got a good coating of road sand up on there. And maybe we could have the fire company hose that off some night during training or something.
Anything else?
Well, I'm sure there's more, but that's
Okay.
enough for tonight.
Jay, you have anything?
yeah. But, like I said, I expressed my opinions earlier today, so, because I'm not happy with a lot of things that are happening with the DPW, but one of the things I would like to see us stop applying for grants until we have some kind of a printout or knowing when we're going to get, these grants are going to be acted on. We've got money tied up, it's been tied up for 3 years, 4 years of our grant money. And we're running out of matching funds. I mean, we're getting down where if we had an emergency where we needed matching funds, we're not gonna have much money. And I'd like to see some of these grants that we're writing, be put off for a while until we can get some kind of, either get a sure yes for the ones that we've applied for. You know, we got a lot of money tied up in the bridge down there for doing grant money. I mean, we gotta have some money to do our sidewalk. We've got all this money that we matched grants to money for the parking lot, and that hasn't gone anywhere in 4 years. Our lights in the park, that project's gone on for better than 3 years, 4 years. Look at how long we waited for this playground. And our money was tied up all that time. So I just think we should try to get some kind of a handle on the money that we've already put out for grants and try to see where that stuff is.
Does anybody have any idea what is going on with any of these projects?
Sure. We're constantly in touch with the contractors in the state. And it has been a long time, but we applied for these things before COVID happened. And I know you don't want to hear about COVID, Jay, but I can't stop a pandemic from coming through and shutting down my projects.
I understand that, but the problem is,
And that's why it's taking so long.
every time we get a grant, it costs us 3 times more than what the project is. We get a grant, just like the salt shed. We started out at $75,000 for a salt shed, and it's $700,000 because the state's involved. Come on, I mean, this is ridiculous. If they're not gonna get these projects rolling, why are we tying our money up?
Can we maybe at our next meeting, have a grant update? I mean, I think.
That's fine.
I think everybody here, too, is I can't, from the top of my head, I can't think.
That would help me out, because
Yeah.
I'm unaware of a lot of
I-
these that's out there. Really.
Okay.
And once you commit that money, that's it, we have to.
Until the project's done or they abandon it. And if we don't know, I mean, if they're just holding on to this money,
Okay.
you know?
No, we didn't give anybody money. That
No,
money's in your bank account.
but it's already been earmarked for that
It's been
project.
earmarked, is what he's saying.
And we can't use that money if it's earmarked for something else. You gotta be able to cover it, you gotta be able to cover the other earmark for the grant that you applied for, so that's what I'm saying, it just, let's get a whole handle on what's going on here with our grant money.
We'll take a look.
I will bring a report for the next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd
thank
be
you.
great.
Anything else, Jay?
Nope, I guess not.
Chad,
Oh, there is one.
first meeting?
Oh,
Anything?
boy, I don't have much, but I did want to thank the board for my appointment. You know, it'll take me a minute to get up to speed, especially on things that you've already been working on, but I hope to be a solid contributor. You know, I am interested to learn about where all of our grant money, you know, is and what it's going to. One of my interests lies in kind of how do we generate more revenue for the town? How do we draw in more families to Fairhaven so that we're less reliant on grants and the state, and we can fund projects as we wish? You know, that's kind of the hope that I have down the road. You know, I would imagine you all share the same hope. So, yeah, no, thank you.
Good.
Oh,
Hey,
welcome.
Welcome
aboard.
aboard.
Thanks.
It's-
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'll let you in a little secret. It's gonna take you a year to get, it takes 1 year, right? Am I right?
thanks for
You gotta be on the board for a year just to start, you know, so you know where you're going.
That's
I mean,
fair.
It takes a lot, it is, there's a lot of things to understand. It just, I've been
Okay.
here, I don't know, 14, 13 years, I think, and I don't know what's going on.
I don't have anything, so why don't we move on to review the financial reports with our new treasurer, I can.
You
read-
can do it
I
again
can
now,
read- I
right?
can read it again, you know, it's fine, so, why don't we go into, I'll make a motion to approve, payroll of $40,808.24.
Second. I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Make a motion to accept the warrants of $110,044.09.
Second for discussion.
Okay,
My discussion is, what's the 21,000 for the town office again?
That one was for the work done in June for the elevator grant.
They haven't been here in the month of June, were they? They haven't been here.
They missed July because there hasn't been any, they need that electrical equipment. So, but that was like, that's a little old.
So this is for June payment.
That was a
This
June
the June
payment, yeah.
payment?
I think the purchase order actually says previous fiscal year on it, just to be clear.
What's left on that? Do you know?
What do you mean?
What's left on the payment on the elevator?
I'll bring, I don't know how much is left on the elevator itself. The
Okay.
entire program was 700,000.
For the elevator?
Well, the elevator and the bathrooms and just everything.
I didn't think it was that much, but anyways.
okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the checkbook status is $359,614.39. And now I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session. Someone wants to make it?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Seconded by Chad. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.